worrying about the environment in general is something that was there before we even started a band. Growing up in a very beautiful environment in the southwest of France, the waves, the mountains, we were always, friends with nature. It just makes sense for me to scream and yell things that are important to us. So the environmentalist aspect of our band is just organic for me. We wanted to do something to join an action to our words and to our music, and because we end up talking about this a lot, at some point we need to feel that we're doing something. And I think it's one of the messages of this album is that we have the power. We have the power to change the world. I've been screaming that for quite some years now. We decided to do something to help the indigenous communities of the Amazon forest, because they are the only one who can really protect the forest. They're the only one who understand the forest, and it's their home, and they live in harmony with forest. So we decided to start this auction and also a donation to support these communities. We invited all our fans to donate. They donated around $150,000. We also did this auction where we put some of our instruments online to sell so people could bid and buy them. And we also contacted our friends from Metallica, Mastodon, Korn, Deftones to participate, and they did. Every time we record an album, we want to evolve. We want to change something, we want to move on, and because it's more fun. So yeah, Magma was very introspective, sort of intimate, and this one is more open towards the outside, more political. In our records, we always have one, weirdo on the album, and that would be our weirdo on this album, Mr. Trails, for sure. Not in the sense that the music is weird or super new or anything, but it's just a little different than the rest. And it's not a sign that we're changing our music drastically, it's just one of these experimentations. Sepultura is a big deal for us, yeah, a big influence. I remember our very first show was a bunch of Sepultura covers and 2 or 3 of our songs. We were a very fresh band. We didn't have enough songs to play a show, so we did a bunch of Sepultura songs. From Arise, the album Arise, and from Chaos AD. And with Chaos AD and then with Roots, they really did something important for our genre. They started to mix, they did the kind of fusion that I love, There's other fusions that are less attractive to me in metal, especially the one that tries to mix metal and hip hop, for example. I'm not into that, although I love hip hop. But I don't think metal and hip-hop are meant to really live together too long. But indigenous sounds, like Sepultura did with metal, yeah, that's my jam. We know his work by heart. All the bands he produced or mixed or both are important to us, almost all of them. It's crazy. It's almost like he made these albums important by his simple presence and work. From Rage Against the Machine to Jeff Buckley, and of course Chaos AD, Sepultura, and Roots, and also some of the modern albums that came out, like Ghost. He did a great job on Ghost. He's able to see what's good in a band and put himself in the background almost. He's not imposing anything, he's just with his magic fingers doing something that I don't know what it is. And he has a fantastic low end also for the people who really pay attention to sound and sound quality. His low end is so tight. That's exactly what we like about the 90s. I cannot survive without a recording studio handy. I need a recording studio where I can go any time of the day or of the night. So I end up building one after spending maybe 5 years in New York without a recording studio. But you can't just have a recording studio like that. You have to pay a rent, it's expensive. So I had to sort of organize things a little bit and jump into that huge adventure of owning a recording studio in New York. And I found a balance between renting it sometimes to bands and then, closing the doors to our band. And it worked pretty good because we did 2 albums. Well, I'm not going to go too deep into that because, you know, like we could be sitting for weeks talking about, you know, how the quality in music went down, and it's a bit of a shame. At the same time, it's good that music travels and goes, you know, everywhere. But if you're really into music, you should put your hands on a vinyl, or maybe a CD, or Qobuz. You know, it's a good way also to listen to, because it's a wave format. So there's more information. There's more texture in the sound, more quality. The way people consume music nowadays is not the way I consume music. I like albums. I like to take my time. I love the experience of an album. And the way we write, at least, we hope people, you know, go through the journey of the album. We were pretty lucky to find each other, the 4 members of Gojira, because our personalities fit pretty good, you know, with each other. A lot of communication going on. Sometimes we're bitching and we're tense on tour for weeks or for months. Sometimes we become irritated, little fights, can't stand each other. But then we always go back to, okay, we're cool. What keeps us together, I think, is the fact that the band is progressing constantly almost since we started. We never had a big, huge bump either. Never had a famous song on all over the radio and stuff like that. Maybe it's about to change with this album, we'll see. But the fact that it was very, you know, steady and progressive, and we always have something to look forward to. So I think that keeps us together and interested. You know, we're interested, we're curious to see what's going to happen. So even though it's hard to go on tour and leave the families behind, and we've been doing this since we're teenagers, almost sometimes we don't realize that we're in a band. This is just our life, you know? And so our friends remind us, dude, you're so lucky. Like, think about it. So we try to keep that in mind, that we're lucky. That's it.